Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on how to fold origami water bomb and preliminary bases. Before we get started, let's look at two of them that I've already folded. This one right here is a preliminary base, and this one is a water bomb base. Now, as was mentioned in one of the previous lessons, these bases are basically the inside-out version of each other. So, for example, if I took this water bomb base and set it up on end and spread it out and push on the center, and it turns itself inside out, and I refold it, I have a preliminary base. So the folding for both of these is exactly the same if you're using a solid piece of paper, solid colored piece of paper, like just white paper or a single color on the same on both sides. In the case of this paper that has a pattern on one side and white on the other, it does matter which way you fold it from the beginning, because you'll end up with one or the other as opposed to just being able to invert it. Because if I invert this water bomb base, I am going to get a preliminary base, but I'm going to get a white preliminary base instead of one with color. So why the names? The water bomb base is called a water bomb base because it's the base used to fold a water bomb, which you're going to be doing in a future lesson. What's a water bomb? It's basically an origami water balloon. A preliminary base is called a preliminary base because it's the preliminary step in most and quite a few origami folds. A lot of the various animals and flowers and so on that you can fold in origami will start with a preliminary base. Not only that, there's a couple other bases that start with a preliminary base. Alright, so let's get started on how to fold these bases. So what I'm going to use is a two-sided piece of paper, one with this green sort of starburst on the side, and the other side is white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the color side down, and I'm going to fold this piece of paper directly in half lengthwise like this. Now, I know I'm going to dwell on this quite a bit, but as you're folding, make sure that you line the paper up underneath exactly or as close as possible. I mean, don't fold it like this because it's not going to work. So straight as possible. Now, the problem is origami paper, especially cheap origami paper you can buy, a lot of times it's not cut perfectly square, so you're going to be slightly off. And a little bit off, as you can see right here, this little teeny bit of white is absolutely okay. Alright, so now that I've made that fold, I'm going to crease it so I make sure it's nice and straight and it's going to unfold nicely. I'm going to unfold it. And if you remember from the previous lesson, we call this a valley fold. It looks like a valley in between two mountain ranges. So we have one valley fold that goes straight across the paper, perpendicular to the sides. Now I'm going to turn it. Now I'm going to do the same thing the other direction. Again, with the color on the outside. If you're using a solid white piece of paper, then it doesn't really matter which side is down. And I crease it again and unfold it. Now I have two valley folds that form a plus in the center of the piece of paper. Now I'm going to turn the paper over and put it so that it's a diamond facing me as opposed to a square. And now what I'm going to do is the same thing, basically folding the piece of paper in half away from myself. This time I'm going to fold triangles. So I'm going to bring this piece up to the other piece, one tip up to the other tip. And I'm going to, again, try to get this as straight as possible, make a nice strong crease so that I have a triangle when I'm done. I unfold that. So now, as you can see, I have a valley fold here, and I have two mountain folds here, the bumps coming up. Alright, I turn it 90 degrees and fold another triangle. And fold across. Alright, now I can unfold it. I'm going to put the, it doesn't matter, whatever side is, at this point, as you can see, the white part is pushing up. If I push down on that, it will invert itself. So now that when I flip it over, the color side is pushing up. So in this case, I want the color side pushing up so that when I pinch all the sides, the corners in and everything, and flatten it out, I have a preliminary base with the color on the outside. So let's talk about how that worked. So in the beginning, I started with the colored side down, and I folded rectangles. So if you want a preliminary base, you start with the color side down and you fold a rectangle. If I want a water bomb base, I'm going to do the same folds, but instead of starting with the rectangles, I'm going to start with the triangles. So let me just fold that. I know I've already folded this piece of paper, but let me fold this. Let me fold a water bomb base from this with the color side down, starting with triangles first. So I have my color down, I fold my triangle, I unfold, I turn, I fold my triangle again, I unfold. Now I turn the paper over, and instead of, like I did last time, folding triangles with the color side up, I fold rectangles with the colored side up now. Fold a rectangle, turn, fold a rectangle. Now, when I turn it over to how I started, again, I have the white side poking up. So I push on the center, I turn it over, and this time when I pinch the corners in, I have a water bomb base. Now, as you can see, what I just did is when I first turned it over, I did have a water bomb base, but it didn't seem to lay. It seemed like if I pushed on it, it would squish some things, like the folds weren't exactly right. So if you have that, just basically you need to rotate this whole thing three-dimensionally 90 degrees and then push it down, and now it's perfectly flat. So a water bomb base and a preliminary base. Now if you should make a mistake, let's say I folded this and I had really wanted a preliminary base with the color on the outside, you can simply instead of inverting it and using the white side for the preliminary base, you can just take it and just remember that instead of triangles, a preliminary base looks like diamonds. So hold your diamond and then just fold these pieces in, and you can kind of just force it into the preliminary base because all the folds are the same. It's just a matter of, so now I have a preliminary base. See you at the next video. Good luck with your folding.